Earnestly podcast here, coming to you on December 6, 2021. Actually on the way to work. I haven't done one of these in a little while, one of these shorter, on location, on the road podcasts. And that's pretty much what I need to be doing. I need to have time for it really these days. Look at the title of this episode, for example. Sunday, Anxiety Sunday. I had pretty much a rough mental day yesterday. I was not in a bad mood and all that, but I was just stressed out for many reasons. And, I should put my seatbelt, shouldn't I? Although I'm getting gas in a second. But I had a really stressed out Sunday. And I've been really stressed out the last couple days, honestly. And, for many reasons. It is the holidays, so a lot more going on. My line of work, it's busier. We got a lot going on at work. We got family things here at home to take care of. I've been dealing a lot of internal stuff with my kids. Mainly my oldest kid with school and emotional things I've been dealing with. And all those things pile up. They pile up when you don't even realize it. And it's just one of those things where, you have to, you deal with it because my mind has always been go, fix the problem. I've always been a fixer. I've always been, okay, you see a problem, let's solve it, let's move forward. And that's not a bad way to be, but if you don't take care of your own mental faculties, if you're not tending to your not so much your needs, but more so the things that are necessary to keep you upright, keep you afloat, you could damage yourself and not even know it. Like I said, mental health is something I've only started addressing with myself in the last year or two on this podcast. What made yesterday especially weird for me, anyway, was that yesterday I was stressed, but I wasn't sad. I went to go visit my mom with my kids a little bit, a couple hours. We had plans to go out last night, which we did do with some friends to see the tree lighting in our area. Because we're in the holiday spirit. We're a family that celebrates Hanukkah, Christmas, you name it. And so we're into the spirit. But yesterday I was just overwhelmed. And I was telling my mom, it's weird. I'm not even that sad, but I can cry right now. I feel like crying. And my mom was telling me, go take the car, go leave the kids here, go somewhere alone, go drive in the car and just go and cry. It's not wrong with that. I've done it before in the past, and it's helped me. I didn't do that, but the fact that I felt like crying, even though I was not sad, it's just the well is filling up with emotions and just things of that nature, things that just on my mind, and things I'm just trying to attack on all fronts. And I'm not dying. It's very clear I'm not dying and all that. It's just when you hit 41 and I'm trying to navigate this world, I'm trying to navigate the future for my family, and all these things on my plate. I'm responsible for two other human beings, and I'm also trying to keep a marriage together. Make sure that's still rolling. That's all. I always say my wife and I, we have a partner, not just a marriage, but we have a partnership. We also we're teammates, and we got to navigate this. And she's going through her own issues to herself, and I don't want to burden her with my issues. I know she comes to me a lot for support and vice versa, and that's what we're there for. And I think I really, in the last couple of weeks, really started to really appreciate her, especially. Not that I never did, but I mean more so now, how much she does for the family and how strong she is, and despite some of the things she's working through. So it's one of those things where, this stuff is important. Anxiety for me especially affects me physically. My job is physical, so when I'm stressed out, I really, in a lot of ways, can't do my job to my best of my ability, because I feel it in my nerves, I feel it in my hands, my arms. I deal poker for a living, So if my nerves, my hands are like just frayed, I can't do my job to the best of my ability. And that's something I struggle with sometimes, especially recently. So I make sure I'm doing the things necessary to make sure I have the capabilities of pushing through, and it's also good to talk about these things too. It's good to talk about this. That's why this podcast is important for me, because it gives me an avenue to let these things out. Part of the reason why I've started doing these smaller, more often. I didn't do a lot last week, but the reason I started doing more of these shorter 15, 20-minute podcasts every other day is because it helps me. Because it gives me an avenue to express. Not just with my anxiety, but also with anything. I have so much things I have to say and little time to say it. So, pretty much the only times I have really in a lot of these days, like today, for example, is on the way to work, on the way from work. I haven't had any time to really be in studio and doing my podcast in my studio. And when I do my podcast in my studio, most of the time, as of late, has been with guests that I have lined up. So I'm trying to use a lot of these solo pods, that I would do, typically I'll do a 40-minute solo podcast, 50-minute solo podcast, and I would just go ahead and boom, lay out a list of topics I want to talk about. But that required me having an hour of free time to do that, and I haven't had that. And these things build up. So I figured, just to break them up a little bit to maybe 3 or 4 meeting topics, do a shorter podcast, and then go from there. And it has helped in some ways. Give me a platform to say these things, to talk. Because I think, to me, talking, if not to someone, but at least I feel like when I'm doing this show, for example, I'm still talking to people who care about this podcast, whether it's 10 people or 100 people. We get a mixture of downloads, depending on the episode. This podcast has been so variety-based the last couple of years, especially, that there's some shows that I talk about sports, and people who don't like sports don't really are into. The episodes I talk about wrestling, and people are not really into. And there's people who talk about politics not into. But then people who like sports, and I talk about sports and football, whatever, they're heavily into it. So this show goes in so many ways. This has gone from a sports podcast that's, was trying to be me, just trying to be this, commentator, what I call it, now to just a show that embraces everything I do. That plus talking about personal things, talking about guests. That the episode of last week with Dean Simpson, for example, that I recorded last Tuesday. Conservative author. Him and I have disagreements on some things, and some we have agreements on. And we had a fantastic conversation about politics and the way of the world and what way we see the world. And like I said, it was good to have a nice discussion with someone who, even if you don't agree with 100%, at least are able to be, open and honest and still show some respect. And plus he serves. He's a guy that walks the walk, not just talk the talk. He's a guy that served his country, and he both as a police officer and as in the military, and then also still today serves at schools with the veterans and all that. And to me, people like him, I respect no matter what, because he's putting his money where his mouth is. He's trying to make changes in the world in a positive way, regardless of what political things we agree or disagree on. And I respect that. So, but it's been good. It's been pretty good. We have some really good shows the last couple of weeks, and I'm gonna continue trying to deliver the goods. So let's talk some football real quick. So yesterday, week 13, I say my two favorite teams played each other yesterday. I've always said that I'm a Giants fan, dying hard Giants fan since I was 10 years old. But I also now root for the Dolphins because I've been living down in this market now for about the same amount of time. I've been a fan of the Giants. And I never really got became really a Dolphin fan until probably the last couple of years, which is strange because they haven't been good for a very long time. I mean, they made playoffs a couple times here and there, but they've never sustained any success as a franchise in quite a while since Dan Marino was here. Hell, since Jay Fiedler was here. At least with Jay Fiedler back in the 2000s, they were still at the very least going to the playoffs, where Ricky Williams was the workhorse. But being in this market so long as I have, and being in sports radio, I've become someone that's respected this market, being, I'm a big Miami Heat fan, diehard Heat fan. My favorite franchise in history of sports, but I've always kept the other franchises at bay, the other local teams at bay until recently, except for Miami Hurricanes, of course. Like the Panthers, I'm a Rangers fan. I like the Panthers. I'm a Mets fan, but I tolerate the Marlins, And the Dolphins and Giants played yesterday. And I was saying on social media that, I root against the Dolphins once every 4 years, and that time has come this week. And obviously, I couldn't go to the game. I had a free ticket to go to the game, but I couldn't make it because of wasn't able to find somebody watching kids last minute and all that. But I got to tell you, I was telling some of my friends this yesterday during the game, that I was kind of low-key rooting for the Dolphins anyway. Even though I wanted the Giants to win, I wasn't mad that the Dolphins won. I'm actually happy the Dolphins won yesterday because, to be honest with you, if you look at these teams right now where they're at, not just this year, but as a franchise as a whole, the Giants winning yesterday, would have meant nothing for them, honestly. I don't think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're making the playoffs. They gain nothing. I've already expressed on this show that I'm over this regime. Dave Gettleman, Daniel Jones, a quarterback. I'm on the fence with Joe Judge right now as head coach. I'm just over this team right now, how they've been playing, and it's been 10 years of ineptitude, and it's not all their fault, because Jerry Reese was here for a good part of that too as well. Jerry Reese and Tom Coughlin. But I feel like this team, ever since the last Super Bowl they won in 2011, have gone nowhere. They made the playoffs one time in the last 10 years. I think they have 2 winning seasons total. They have been one of the worst teams in the league the last decade. And I joke about the fact that they sold their soul to Satan, because by being Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl, they sold Satan to get this now where they're at. So I want the whole thing blown up. I want them to go after Russell Wilson as quarterback, which we keep hearing rumors about that he may possibly him going to New York, and the Giants have the draft capital to pull it off. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is the problem, but Daniel Jones is not the solution at this point. So the Giants, by them winning games late in the year, it opens the door for them saving jobs. I'm not trying to advocate for people getting fired, because I don't want to do that, but I don't believe in this regime right now. I just don't. But in the case of the Dolphins, they started the year 1-7, won the first game against the Patriots, lose 7 in a row, and now they've won 5 in a row. And to me, this is a team that benefits from winning games late. They're in the playoff hunt. They actually got a game behind for the last playoff spot. Now, I'm not saying to make the playoffs, but the schedule works out great. They got a bye week now this week. They play the Jets, come on the bye week. The AFC West wild card situation is a clusterfuck right now. So there's opportunities. I did a podcast a month ago saying this, that the day after they beat the Ravens, that look at the schedule, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the Dolphins have a good chance to make up some ground here, and they're doing that. Plus, the Dolphins have, they have the talent. I like Tua as quarterback. I think Tua is playing very good. I think Brian Flores is doing a decent job, and now ever since he started calling defense, they've improved greatly. And I'm just happy for this franchise. They're going in a positive direction, and they benefit more from winning than the Giants did. So I'm not that mad that the Giants lost this right. I predicted it. By the way, speaking of predictions, I do my best bets every week. I pick 5 games every week as a spread, and I put out to the masses on social media. And I am right now 4-0 entering tonight's game. I hit the Giant Dolphins -6. I hit the Colts game yesterday. They covered as well too. I hit the Cardinals game. They covered as well too. And then I hit the Rams or the Jaguars. And they covered as well. And if I get the over tonight on the Patriots Bills game, I bet the over. I'll be 5-0. Which will put my record now to right now. My record right now currently is at I think 38-24. I think it is right now, something like that, or 26. I can't remember the number, but not a bad week football. Week 13, rest of week 13 takeaways. The Chiefs, they're on a roll too, but it's weird. They don't look like the same Chiefs the last couple of years. Like this dominating offense that Pat Mahomes. It's funny because it's this team. The complaint this year, when they struggled for the first couple weeks of the year, was that, their defense is terrible, and they were terrible. And then all of a sudden, the defense is playing better now. Now, the thing is, it's weird, if you look at the context, they've caught a break on the schedule, where the best team they played was the Packers, but they played that team, that was a game Aaron Rodgers missed because of COVID. They've also played some semi-weaker teams, but they've done their job. They're playing teams in the division who are not the best. The Broncos last night, of course. Raiders a couple weeks ago. They've caught a break. I don't know if they're back. They're in the power rankings again, but I don't know if they're back because the other teams in the AFC are certainly playing better. The Patriots, of course, and but the AFC is so wide open anyway that you can't count the Chiefs. You cannot. I mean, if we're saying that the Chiefs are not the same team they were last year or 2 years ago in terms of the offensive, prowess, then I will say that's definitely an argument. But they're 8-4, and right now they have the best record in the conference. Right now they have the best record in the AFC. So say what you want about what they're doing or not doing, but they're still winning games, and their defenses play better. And you have to figure at some point the offense will figure it out. They have too much talent on that team. They get Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, and they have enough talent to make it happen. Now, whether they do it game to game every week, I don't know. Maybe the league's caught with them a little bit, but regardless of that, they are still 8-4, and while I think what Bob Parcells said years ago about which record is a little bit embellished and a little bit overstated. They're still a playoff team. They're still going to win the AFC West. Rather, they're still going to be a threat to go to the Super Bowl and possibly win it. And the AFC is wide open. The Ravens yesterday lost to the Steelers. Gutsy two-point conversion call, which Mark Andrews dropped a potential touchdown. No, two-point conversion to win the game against the Steelers. We'll see tonight the Patriots and the Bills, how that plays out. There's a lot going on in the AFC. A lot going on, and you can't count these guys out, man. Are they back? I don't know if they're back, but they're certainly still in the mix, and that's all you can ask for at this point. What else yesterday? Lions won the first game of the year over the Vikings. I believe Mike Zimmer will lose his job. If the Vikings don't make the playoffs now, which is still a possibility because it's still in the mix, because the NFC wildcard race is still a mess. But if the Vikings miss the playoffs because they lost this game at the last second, Detroit, this is the game where Mike Zimmer lost his job, because you can't let the Lions do that to you. Just can't. This can't happen. So if the Vikings miss the playoffs this year, which I mean, right now it's still like the AFC wildcard pictures. The AFC wildcard pictures is also a big clusterfuck. That this is a week that Mike Zimmer lost his job. And for the record, Zimmer's a good coach. I think he's a good coach, but he has underwhelmed now. This is a team that's had talent that you could argue has been Super Bowl contention talent. Kirk Cousins is good enough with the roster he has around him to at least get to the NFC title game, and they haven't done that. What else stood out yesterday? Obviously, you had the Saints-Cowboys game last week. Cowboys bounced back in a big way. Wasn't the most impressive win, but a win to win in December. Eagles bounced back yesterday in New York. I really wasn't as attuned to football yesterday as I thought I would be. Visiting my mom and whatnot. The Colts went a blowout win against Houston. Shutout. Cincinnati, on the Football Hustle podcast, I stated that, when Kyle Nash and I did our locks, I stated that the Bengals, I couldn't lock the Bengals yet because I wanted to see one more quality win before I lock them up. And this is why I waited. I'm glad I waited because they could have got the job done against the Chargers at home yesterday. Chargers bounced back from struggle last couple weeks, and they beat the Bengals. And this is why I could not pencil in the Bengals just yet, much as I like them. A game like that, it at least calls pause. So I'm on the fence with the Bengals right now as a playoff team right now, because if they miss the playoffs, this is a game to look at. It's like, oh, how you won this game at home against the Chargers who were struggling at the time. And also tiebreaker now because the Chargers had the wild card race too, especially. So yeah, it's been a fun year of football and college football too, which came to an end pretty much this weekend as we had conference championship weekend. Alabama beat quote unquote upsets Georgia. I think at the end of the day, we have to realize that Nick Saban is just that guy. Like, if you're doubting Nick Saban, you're part of the problem. Yes, it annoys everybody Nick Saban and Alabama is good. Okay, well, beat him. And Georgia had everything played for them. Georgia had everything running for them, okay? Yeah, the game was a neutral site, except that game was played in Atlanta. So Georgia already had a built-in home field advantage in that game, and they still get the job done. And they got blown out by Alabama and Nick Saban. They got punked. Now, both teams still in the playoff, but if we're looking at a situation where if they wouldn't play, again, which they're not going to play in the first round because the latest rankings, officially, playoff rankings are out. Alabama 1, Michigan 2, which will be Iowa, thank God. Georgia 3, and then Cincinnati got in, number 4. If we do get a Georgia-Alabama rematch, it wouldn't be until the national championship game. And I don't see anything that make me believe that Georgia can be Alabama. Nothing in that game told me that can be the case. Alabama made a statement in that game. And for all the things they struggle with this year, they still find ways to win. The Auburn game last week, they found a way to win. It is what it is. So we're going to have Alabama against Cincinnati in the first round, in the semifinals rather. Michigan, Georgia, obviously, and they'll play as well too. And the winners play obviously each other in the final. Obviously, I'm rooting for Michigan with the whole thing. They're my second team. So, I love Florida State, but I've always been a Michigan guy. Dating back to 1989. As I said too, the very reason I became a Heat fan was because of Glenn Rice, who went to Michigan. So you have that. But there was no drama really in these final rankings because all the work was done on Saturday. Oklahoma State could have provided some drama had they beaten Baylor, and they got stuffed up on the goal line. Notre Dame really couldn't do much because you cannot make a case for Notre Dame to leapfrog Cincinnati because these two teams did play and Cincinnati blew them out. So you have that. So in that, there really was no drama. The only real drama at this point was who will be number 3 and number 4. And there was no way in hell you were going to have Alabama and Georgia be 1 and 4 and have them play again literally weeks later after Saturday. And Georgia, to their credit, have been they're still a top 3 team. They've been dominant throughout the year up until Saturday. I know there are folks making a case for, well, are they better than Notre Dame? Or yeah, they're better than Notre Dame. They had better quality wins. Let's stop. SEC the SEC alone, playing SEC alone, puts you in a position to have quality wins. So, but anyway, I'm actually late to work, but we had traffic on the on 95 here, so I'm gonna go. Again, I'm on Twitter at E27 Earnestly Podcast. Oh, by the way, before look out for this too, especially tomorrow we start recording the first installment of the NBA 25 in the last 25. Again, it is the best 25 players in the last 25 years. We're going to rank them. We're going to do 11 to 25 first tomorrow. And then next week, do 1 through 10. It's me. It's my buddy, Zach the Degenerate. It's also my buddy, Chris Manic. We're going to do that. We're going to sit there and rank it. Rank them. My rank is almost done. So we'll see how it compares to theirs. And other than that, look out, football's also coming too on Wednesday. Tomorrow I got a lot of recording to do, so I got to get ready for that. Let's see anything else I have to do before I get out of here. I think that's it for now. So again, Twitter, e27earnestly.net is the website. I'm gonna try to start writing a little more, also too if I can. And the newsletter too. I think we'll starting January. I think I'm gonna start working on a newsletter every week on Substack, which I've had for the last year and a half, but I haven't really used much. But I think I have an idea for what I'm gonna use for it going forward. I'll start pushing that here on these channels going forward. Do a weekly newsletter. It's a fun thing, another thing of content to put out there. So, all right, I think that's it for now. Until next time, we'll talk soon and see ya.